Hey, good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's here and can hear me. I got video, I think. I think everything looks good. Hi. Well, it's morning for me, but good evening, good night. 'Cause I know some of you drop in very kindly just to stop in and say hi and then go to bed. But I appreciate that. David Crooks, how are you, buddy? David runs a local photography club here in my area in Northern Virginia, and they schedule photo walks twice a week. So I look forward to doing that once we kind of get past this little events that are going on currently. And let's see, Peter, John, how are you? I'm so sorry. It's always so late for you, and I was really late on Thursday for you too. That couldn't be helped though, but I'll try. I really try to keep the schedule so that uh, you guys can join in without having to be up at like 2 in the morning. But John, how are you? Gosh, 71 degrees. You know, it was like 78 degrees here yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. It was really nice, but I just don't go out. I did go out and take some pictures though, just around my house because I have some flowers that are blooming and things, and it was nice. And oh, it's cold in Belgium though, huh, Plato? That's too bad. I hate the cold. Um, Chat disabled. Let me see. Someone says that the chat's disabled. I don't see anything here. It may come up later. I don't know. That's a glitch. I haven't done anything different. Everything on my end looks good because I can see your chats on my screen. On my live stream itself. Oh, dang it. I always forget something, right? Let me fix that real quick. Thank you, Rick. Now I know what you're saying. There, that should come up any second now for you guys. You know, I put the chat window on the side of the live stream itself because a lot of times, you know, like me, I watch a lot of it on my television. And, you know, when you watch on TV, you don't see the chat window on the side. Maybe there's a way, but I haven't figured it out. And, you know, and then you can play it back and see the chat window all the time without having to, you know, squeeze it in. But hey, George, how are you? Romania, long time subscriber. Awesome. And first time here. Well, welcome. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm so happy when people come in the live streams because it really, you know, it's really about conversation and what's been going on in photography and just catching up on what everybody's doing because most of you have a lot more experience than I do in photography. So I learn a lot as well, just from the comments on the videos and also in the live streams. And then, you know, cumulatively, we can share all of this great knowledge and experience with, you know, beginning photographers. Because to me, ultimately, that's really the key to bringing photography back more mainstream, at least on a consumer level. So people go out and start buying cameras, and you know, hopefully the camera industry will be a thriving industry again. Because every year you see the sales go down. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Andreas. Hi, Jupiter. In Poland. Wow. George. Anyhow, you know, education really is the best way to really get people excited about photography and buying cameras again. And fortunately, you know, even the entry-level cameras today are excellent. So anybody can dive in and really start to learn about photography and enjoy the craft as much as we all do. And you know, I've watched a lot of the videos lately about the people doing a lot of work at home, stuck at home type projects, and you know, they're great because I think hopefully, you know, anyone that's been letting their camera collect on the, collect dust on the shelf since they bought it because they don't know how to use it, hopefully they'll catch those videos and start doing things at home. And then eventually when uh, they'll take it outside and really, like I said, grow the community. I, because we're all very passionate photographers, I think everyone here. And it's just something I think in history, because we're capturing moments in time, right, in history, and we should all be capturing our lives here as it is today to share with our future generations, right? I mean, I don't mean to get all deep and philosophical about that, but photography is important, I think, in the bigger scheme of things as well. So anyhow, there was a lot of good questions too this week on my videos. Um, Gosh, and I got one in my Facebook, and I'm trying to remember. I wish I could remember all the different places, which kind of brings me to my other subject I wanted to bring up was I've revamped my forum on my website with a more robust platform. It's still a freeware that may have some bugs and glitches. So as long as it's been around, it's still supported by just enthusiasts in software like we are in cameras. So if you get a chance, go over and register for the website and log in and make posts and see if you can find any bugs, particularly with the login. One of the challenges that seems to be recurring, regardless of it was the old forum or the new forum, was people aren't able to change their passwords, or they're not getting the emails into their email box. So if you don't get an email within 5 or 10 minutes from the forum to either authenticate your new registration, or if you want to change your password, you get a link to change your password. If you're not getting those emails, just let me know, and I can activate new users manually. So if you've tried to register but didn't get that confirmation authentication email, I can go into the system and just activate you automatically, through my end. But I found that sometimes servers, and there's probably a lot of other things in this chain, right? A chain is only as strong as the weakest link. But sometimes, the email servers like Yahoo and Microsoft, whether it's Live or Outlook or Yahoo.com, sometimes they block emails from certain domains completely, or certain countries. So that doesn't even go into your spam box or anywhere. It just doesn't exist. So that could be one issue that, I can easily rectify via just authenticating manually. But yeah, Plato. Peter Gregg is now shooting the Olympus EM1 Mark II, and he's really excited about it. I've caught a few of his videos, and he's live streaming a lot too. Man, he went in the deep end on that, right? On live streaming, and the quality of his live streams are so good just out of the gate. When we talk about the technical quality, because of I don't know, he knew what he was doing. If you watch my old live streams, like the first 10 or 20, they were horrific, technically, right? Picture was grainy, lighting was bad, and yada yada, right? And he really nailed it the first time out, and he's really actively trying to promote other channels on his stream, which is nice too. I haven't gone over for that yet, but I am reaching out to him for some other things, so that hopefully he can add his experience to the Olympus community, because he's been a photographer forever, right? And he's a really, really nice guy too. So hopefully he'll join us one day and add to our community, right? But yeah, he was definitely very impressed with the EM1 Mark II, the image quality, and he puts a little pancake lens on it and then puts it in his pocket. I mean, he must have big pockets, man. I mean, his pants pockets, right? My goodness. I could never do that, but yeah, I love Peter Gregg. I've been watching him for a long time, kind of on and off, because he talks a lot about Canon and other things. Um, but occasionally, you know, he'll have a video that kind of, you know, strikes me or if I find interesting and helpful. So if you haven't seen Peter Gregg, you should check it out, check his channel out. He's got a Christmas room that he broadcasts from or does his videos with, and he gives very honest opinions. You know, he's I think he's a man of very high integrity as well. So always, you know, definitely check him out. And of course, the usual suspects, all of the Micro Four Thirds community, really, as I was saying in my last stream, I really feel like they're all very genuinely interested in helping the community of Micro Four Thirds shooters, and are not trying to, you know, they're not victims of their own success, so to speak. You know, they really try to drive. Uh, their motivation is sincere. Anyway, okay, let me get a little sip here. Oh yeah, and also with the forum, that's really the best place to ask me questions, because I have so many sources coming in, right? Either through comments or through through my Facebook and Instagram, etc. It's hard for me to keep track, and also an email, right? So if you have a question that you can't ask during the live stream, just hit me up through the forum itself. Because if I can't answer it right away, there might be someone else in the forum that can. And if you're not getting an answer either way, I always recommend mu43.com. It's mu-43.com. They have an excellent community there too for Micro Four Thirds, and hopefully a lot of you are here that are members there. Because I've learned a lot there too. There's a couple of people I follow over there that do extensive work on the PenF, and you know, playing with the color profiles, and then they have their own blogs with articles and things that are extremely helpful, I think, at really digging in, you know, to an amazing level, much more than I ever do in my own videos, as a matter of fact. And you know, my videos, I really try to go deep. Oh, okay. Yes, hi Thomas. I see something about batteries here. I have been getting battery questions, but I haven't gotten any definitive source, right? I haven't really started digging too deeply into the battery question about the lithium-ion batteries, but people are reporting that, you know, that when they buy a battery, or the battery that comes with their camera, in one case was like 3 years old when they bought a brand new battery. And everyone know, if you saw my unboxing video, the battery that came with my camera was a year old, or just slightly over a year old. And supposedly the lithium-ion batteries have a shelf life whether you use them or not, you know, and then how long that they last over time is affected by how you use them. So they always recommend keep at least half charged. And again, these are very high level type sources. They're not the battery manufacturer or chemists or battery engineers. They're just articles from other sites, so take those with a grain of salt. But the consensus seems to be to have them sort of charged, have some charge in them at all times, and then never let them drain down to zero. That'll really kill the battery or shorten it down to, shorten the battery life significantly. And keeping them at, room temperature of like 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which I don't know what that is in Celsius, but, uh, all legitimate tips. And of course, don't let them get too hot and don't let water get onto them. I thought that was an interesting one, where if you let water get onto the battery, it creates hydrogen something. The hydrogen in the water creates some sort of lithium hydrogen gas and it can explode. But again, like I said, these are sort of hearsay, third-party type articles. They're not definitive sources from battery engineers. But it all sounds reasonable to me, and it honestly that sounds like good advice. Oh, today I don't know why I'm so dry mouth. Oh, Rick is talking about the older batteries for the OM1 and 2. And that the yeah, I've heard that. I mean, I did buy I found them on Amazon. Some of the silver oxide batteries, they don't last too long once you peel off the little sticker. The silver oxide batteries come with like a little foil sticker to cover a hole on the battery, and that keeps the shelf life longer. And then once you take that sticker off to put into your camera, uh, I guess the chemical reaction releases some gas or something while it's discharging, and the cameras were designed for those types of batteries. And the electronics weren't so sophisticated back then, so if you put in a battery that wasn't made for that camera, the voltage could be off slightly, or anything that's not to the same spec as the original battery can throw off any of the other electronics in the camera. In this case, the light meter. But yeah, good advice. So when you buy batteries, try to find the original source. They're still available, and if you can't get them, there are conversion kits for the OM cameras so that you can use regular batteries. I don't know exactly how they work or where to get them, because I'm able to get the original silver oxide batteries. Okay. There was another person that commented on my video about they can't seem to get it out of video mode, and because their shooting menus are grayed out. So what I recommended was make sure this lever is set to number 1, because that's always a photo mode. And then also the mode dial needs to be in a photo mode, P, A, S, or M. So there's P, A, S, and M on here that the camera has to be in. So make sure it's there. Other than that, I'm not sure what the problem is, but it can be so frustrating, right, when a camera is not doing what you expect it to. And that's why I really try to be careful when I'm making my tutorials to reset the camera back to factory defaults and then step by step go through things, because some settings in a camera, whether it's a button lever or a mode setting or some option you select in a menu, can disable other parts of the camera. And it can be really frustrating to somebody that's brand new to a camera. And the way I do my tutorials, if I haven't mentioned this, is I do them in a way that I pretend that I'm trying to teach my mom how to use a camera, because she knows nothing about cameras. So I just, when I'm going through the steps on the camera, I'm like, I can't assume she understands what different modes are in the camera, right? She just knows it takes pictures and it takes movies. Where's the movie button to record? Where's the shutter button to take a picture? Why are, you know, just the most basic things can throw somebody off, right? They may not know that the camera needs to be in the right mode before you push either button. Because on the newer Olympus cameras, you know, if you're recording, you can't take a picture at the same time, and uh, the older cameras you could, but it would stop the video, restart, etc. I mean, there's a lot of little idiosyncrasies. The other thing is I need to kind of temper my statements too, because in the last live stream I was so tired, but I kind of, you know, I made the assertion that the Olympus cameras were better for photography, and I should really rephrase that and say it's better for me. The ergonomics, the menus, the granularity in the menus, the features that we can use. I really like everything in there. But Panasonic, for example, has its own unique features that may be better for you as a photographer. You know, like the post focusing, the 4K photo mode, things like that. And the menu system and the overall user experience will be a better camera for you. So it's always best to try cameras, you know, whether it's, you know, Panasonic, Olympus, Nikon, etc. The best camera is the one that's best for you. Because ultimately all cameras take great pictures, and it's really the person behind the camera that makes the image, right? Like Ansel Adams says, right? You don't take a picture, you make a picture. Ah, holy crap, is it Mother's Day today? Mother's Day, oh crap, it better not be, because I'm in big trouble. I gotta check the I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt and check my calendar. If it's Mother's Day, I'm gonna be... All right. It is not Mother's Day. Mother's Day is in May 10th for me. Ooh, okay. You scared me, Rick. You are bad. You're bad. Thank you, Catherine. It is in May. Is it different in different times in other countries? Oh, thanks, John, for sharing that. I have that battery somewhere. I got my little battery toolbox. I keep toolboxes like this from the dollar store, and I just label them on the front exactly what's in them. So after a while, you know, if you have gas, you start collecting a lot of crap. But yeah, this is the battery John's talking about for the OM1 and 2. This is what I use in my cameras, my OMs. Wind cell. Oh, I'm covering up the model number. And then on the back, there's more. And like I said, I just bought these on... No, maybe I bought these on eBay. I can't remember. And then if you look closely, right here is the little silver tab that you take off when you use the battery. I just put it back in there. Because if you're not going to use the camera for a few days, it doesn't hurt to put that silver thing back on, right? It's a little sticker when you're not using the battery. I don't know if that really helps or not, but intuitively it seems like it would, right? Okay, Jose is saying, in scene mode, panning for EM1 Mark I, what are the manual settings for panning to use on the EM1 Mark II? They are, they are, I assume you mean panoramic, right? Not panning, but panoramas. They're the same. There's no scene mode, excuse me, on the M1 Mark II. Hold on. Actually, I shouldn't say they're the same. I think there's no... It's not something I've ever used on this camera, but let me see if it's in here. That is a good question that I cannot definitively answer. Picture mode. Hold on, that's my M1 Mark III. I don't think the M1 Mark II has a scene mode to do panning in camera. I mean, it should, but I can't find it. Huh. Sorry about that, Jose. I don't see scene mode on the Mark II or the Mark III. Oh, Soren says Mother's Day is on March 8th, so hopefully you guys didn't miss that a couple weeks ago. And John says, eBay from Italy, spray them as soon as you get them. So I assume you mean the batteries. What do you mean by spray them? John Allen's asked, will a lapel mic record decent music? I'm not a musician, so I can't really say. Most musicians, they'll use a dynamic microphone or a microphone designed for a specific instrument. And dynamic microphones, their advantage over, say, what I'm using, this is a condenser mic, is they reject sound from outside, right? They have a very narrow field of sensitivity. Like they call it a supercardioid pattern. And you point them at the instrument and then it rejects all the other sounds. And that's what they usually use. Lapel mics, as far as I know, they only come as condenser mics, and they're 360 type pattern. So they're going to pick up sound from everywhere. And it's not ideal because you want to just pick up the instrument by itself. Now, if you're talking about live music, like in a band, like you go to a band or a concert, I would think the same rules apply. You want a supercardioid or cardioid pattern so that you'd point it towards the band and only capture most of the music from there. Lapel mics are always 360, so you're going to capture the crowd noise more so than the band potentially, depending how far back you are. So I'd have to say probably not as far as lapel mics go. P mode. Maddie did a video on P mode. I haven't seen that one. I did see the thumbnail for it, but I don't shoot P mode. The only time I use P mode is when I hand the camera to somebody else to take pictures of me and my friends. But other than that, I'm always in aperture priority or manual. Yeah, just like Kostov says, when he hands the camera to somebody else. And I started my live stream today at 10 instead of 9:30, and I still ended up starting late. But I don't know why I mentioned that. Rick says, with the old silver oxide batteries, it's important to clean the wax off of them, but never touch with fingers. Something about not losing a residual charge, else the battery life significantly depleted. Okay. Yeah, that's good advice, I think. Because even if that's not the case, it doesn't hurt to try to avoid touching the battery anyway, right? So any precautions that you can take to improve the battery life or safety, always do. You know, it doesn't take anything. I mean, in a pinch, I know people cut corners, but you don't have to. Why not? Oh. Okay. Sorry, my phone was beeping at me. I have to kind of pay attention because my mom, you know, she's 76 years old, so I have to always be on the ready in case I get a call from her. She's so nice, though. She brought me dinner yesterday. She's always cooking for me and bringing it over. She lives like 2 blocks from me. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse, you know? Yeah, the I don't know. Does any other countries use daylight savings time? Because John said he missed the he was an hour late to my live stream because of the daylight savings. Because we adjust here. I hate daylight savings. I mean, I like it when we're in daylight savings mode because we definitely get more daylight towards the evening. So it lets me go out a little bit later and still have enough light to do stuff. But when we switch back to normal time that's in sync with everybody else, you know, it gets dark at like 7 o'clock here in the summer, or it would if we didn't change the time. So now it gets dark like 8, 8:30. And that's a little more workable for me as my the way my schedule goes. And speaking of schedules, oh my God, I've been so busy this week. Uh, Continuing with the helping this, you know, one of my clients set up a distance learning uh, for their school, and you know, it's a small private school, but there was a lot of technical challenges because it's not something I ever done before. But I said, yeah, I can help you. I won't charge you too much, but I'll come over and see what I can do. And we got it set up. And the interesting thing is there's very little wiggle room in live streaming. It's like you buy a webcam or you go full on DSLR, right? And there's not much in between, which there are not many options in between that I could find at a consumer level that I could just go to Best Buy and pick up. And all the webcams are sold out everywhere. Man, when I went online, you know, last week I said you got to order these right now within the hour because they're going to be gone in an hour from Amazon. And every Best Buy in the area was sold out. No cameras, webcams at all. So luckily they were able to get 2. They needed 3, but they got 2. And now you can't get a webcam, and the webcams are like they're charging like 3, 4, 5 times the price of the list price on Amazon right now from like third-party sellers, which is, you know, that's such a ripoff. I hope nobody pays those prices, you know, because it's not right. You're better off just buying a DSLR. I think the cheapest setup I could think of was, you know, an EM10 Mark II with a kit lens, and then, you know, a little HDMI converter or adapter, and go from there. But you know, they didn't want to spend, you know, upwards of $1,000, you know, to get everything set up. So I said, you know, get the webcams now because this will be good enough for what you need to do. Oh, okay. So SL7293 is asking, it seems in P mode you can go into P's, uh, where you can change the aperture by simply turning the dial. Yeah, you get a little bit of wiggle room when you're in P mode with the exposure comp, the aperture, all, basically, all of the settings. There may be some wiggle room there, but you're still going to be limited to what the camera thinks those limits are. Uh, so that's the difference between using P mode and using, say, aperture priority or shutter priority. You're still limited by the P mode will limit how much you can adjust those things. So look at that. I got a card error on my camera. Card is in here. Sometimes if you take it out and put it back in, it. No. I got a bad SD card. Hopefully I can reformat it and just use it again. Let me put a different one in. Hopefully it's the card, not the camera, right? Okay. So if I go into P mode, yeah. It looks like it'll let me change the aperture at the limits. Okay, so we've hit on something I've never run across here. Dang. PS and P. See, I learned something new every day. I'll have to look into that. I don't have an answer for you with the difference between P mode and PS mode. I know that in regular P mode on my other cameras, it does limit me. Oh, this one doesn't have a. Maybe Robin knows. Let me put this on P mode. I'm in P mode. Exposure comp. Yeah, on this camera, when I'm in P mode, it won't even let me change the aperture. Let me check. It only lets me dial in exposure comp on my EM5 Mark II, but on EM1 Mark II, it kind of switches over into PS mode. So I have to look into that. I never shoot in P mode, so I never noticed the PS mode. Okay. Yeah, Robin, they were asking about the difference between P and PS mode. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. But right now I'm in P mode, but if I adjust the aperture, oh, that's the shutter speed. Stop it. Stop doing that. Okay. Down in the corner there, you can see it says PS as I'm changing the aperture. So and it's letting me adjust the aperture everywhere, in the full range. Program shift. God, I've heard of that. Yeah. Okay, so it's strictly for aperture, but then how is that different than just being an aperture priority? Okay, it allows you to switch. Oh, that's cool. Like I said, I never shoot in P mode, so I never paid it. I never noticed there was a PS. Good thing you guys told me that, because I was thinking about doing a video on all the different shooting modes between, you know, on the cameras, P, A, S, and M, right? Which I understand A, S, and M pretty well, but P mode on this camera doesn't have a PS mode as far as I can tell. But maybe there's something in the menu I can switch for it. Okay. Um, you know, and Robin, if you're up to it, you know, you can come into the live stream. I think I got it set up so that you can just join and talk to everybody. That, you know, that's fine. I can give it, we can try it. Like, it'd be a first time for me to bring somebody in while I'm in a live stream. But if you want to come in, just call my Skype. Okay. That's a little too much information, but okay. What's the relative merits of doing PS? Well, intuitively, I would think that, you know, it's just speed of access to aperture priority or shutter priority, right? So if you want to shoot in program mode, but then quickly change back to aperture priority, you don't have to reach on the mode dial and change it. So if you're in P mode, you don't like what the camera chose as settings, you can quickly change them. So it's just a workflow option for you. I don't think there's any image quality benefits, but relatively speaking, it's just another option for your workflow when you're in the field. Okay. It's weird. I don't know if it's my allergy medicine or what, but it's like nothing is satisfying my thirst here. As soon as I put the coffee down, my mouth gets dry again. Robin says if he shoots with flash, then it's in full manual. Yes. And Henrik is asking if he has a EM5 Mark III paired with a Lumix lens, do you think that's safe and waterproof? Yeah, I don't see why not. Let me look at my weatherproof lens. The thing with weatherproof lenses, and I don't know if Panasonic does it differently, but there's a little rubber seal right around the outside of the lens. So when you look at your Lumix lens, if it has the same rubber seal here, I would think it's perfectly fine on Olympus weather sealed cameras. Now if Panasonic uses a different method to weather seal, I don't know, but that's how Olympus does it. So if Panasonic does it the same way, because I don't have any weather sealed Lumix lenses to compare, but that's what I would look for. Can you guys hear that lawnmower in the background? It's so noisy around my house constantly. It's very annoying. Rob, can you select ISO in P mode? That won't change. Which camera? Kostov. I'd have to try it on a specific camera because apparently there's differences in P mode. But on the EM1 Mark III, if I'm in P mode, I can change ISO. And on my EM5 Mark II, if I'm in P mode, Yeah, it lets me change ISO. So like I said, P mode is fairly flexible, where you can kind of force certain settings in the camera, more so on the EM1 Mark II and 3 versus say the EM5 Mark II or the EM10 Mark II. Says when I have pressed the shutter button in P mode, the camera gives a default exposure, keeping the ISO selected. Then you can change A or S. So if you're saying that if we go into P mode, change the ISO to like at 400, and then I change the A mode, yeah, it stays at ISO 400. And that's on the M5 Mark II. Chuck's asking, was there anything wrong with the 12 to 50 macro EZ? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, it wasn't. It's as good as any other kit lens, and I like the 12mm focal length. I think the challenge was that, you know, there's a lot of overlap now with the newer kit lenses, right? 14 to 42 in terms of focal length, and it's also kind of a long lens, right? It's not as compact as the other cameras, so it might have been a marketing issue where Olympus felt that they wanted to sell out of the box the most compact camera they can. So the smaller kit lenses that they made are a better fit for that, and the weather sealing was not as critical. I mean, different countries sell cameras with different kit lenses. You know, like here in the US, the M5 Mark II or Mark III and Mark II came with a 14 to 150. But when I go to other sites, other countries, I see different kit lenses. Even on the M1 Mark II, you know, the kit lens, only kit lens option we had here in the US was like the 12 to 40. But then you go to other countries and you see, I don't know, maybe a 17mm is a kit lens option. Yeah. P mode is basically Rick and SL are saying the same thing, that P mode is just for when you know, you use that generally when you don't have time to make changes. You just want to get the shot and let the camera do all the work on the exposure. So and that's fair. And I, like I said, I use it when I hand it to other people, right? Because P mode also activates other things sometimes. Like I think it activates face detect. Let me see. Maybe not. Can I change face detect? Yeah, I can turn it off. And then when I turn the camera on and off, yeah, it remembers that. So, like I said, P mode seems to be fairly flexible with some of the other settings, but not so on like shutter speed and aperture on the M5 Mark II. But the M1 Mark II seems to have some more flexibility. Oh, John's replaced his P mode with a My Set. That's a good idea. That's just one more place. I use the other settings like scene mode and art mode. I replace those with my sets. I'll have to watch Maddie's P mode video. You know, it's kind of like Robin Wong's like I don't use a lens hood video. Maybe it's controversial, you know, in a small way, right? In a photography way. Yes, Lars, you can shoot definitely raw in P mode. Uh, I have my camera set large. Why? Why? Stop doing that. The eye detect. You can see it says raw there. I should put lens caps on these so you guys can see the screen better. But that's in P mode and it's in RAW. Maddie's P mode is a good watch, huh? Definitely, I'll check it out later. I just didn't get around to it yet. What else is news? Any other questions? Because I slept well last night, but somehow my brain is still not right. But thank God I haven't gotten sick or felt off. I felt off a little bit one day, and I checked my temperature, and it was like 99.1 or something like that. And then I got up the next morning, and it was 97. So I was kind of hypothermic the next day. Oh, John, yeah, you can definitely post images on the new forum. So let me go to that and talk about that for a minute. Let me see. Well, no. Have any of you heard anything about Sigma's roadmap on their MFT lineup? No, I haven't heard anything. All right, now I got it. Let me expand this just a bit. Get my green screen correct. Okay. All right, down here, I have basically 4 categories for uploading pictures. You know, if you have a picture you're really proud of, you know, it's one of your best shots, you know, you put it in this forum here, share your best shots. And then, let me get to the other side. Which, yeah, it's pretty cool. They're beating Sony and Canon and Nikon, all the other brands, Panasonic, in terms of camera sales in Japan. And there's an article in there about Panasonic, also in the Panasonic rumors, that they asked the guy at Panasonic, you know, do you see sales are different in other countries? And he says, no, really, it's about the same. So hopefully Olympus is getting some traction here in the US as well, because it's definitely underrated camera. Like I said, I went out on a photo walk one time and somebody asked me, I didn't know, Olympus still makes cameras? And I'm like, yeah, of course they do. I just couldn't believe somebody didn't know Olympus still made cameras. So that's that just surprised me. So I really hope Olympus gains some traction. They really deserve to be more recognized here in the US. Oh my God, did the sound drop? I'm sorry. When I moved over to the right. It's kind of a trademark of my live streams, right? No audio, just me jabbering in complete silence. But all I was doing was kind of talking about the different categories. They're pretty self-explanatory. But I'll go back. Okay, I'll go back. Let me turn the mic on this time. Let me make sure it works. I don't know why that was turned off. I think I was trying to debug something. Anyway, okay, so I think I started down here, right? Share your best shots. Basically, that's self-explanatory, right? You know, if you took a great picture and you want to share it with everybody, that's the place to do it. And then picture a day, I feel like it doesn't have to be an epic shot, right? Just go out and take pictures every day. I don't care if it's just of your dining room table, you know. I think picking up the camera and handling it every day, you start to build some muscle memory in your fingers to go through different settings. And, you know, whatever it is, try and take a picture every day to really just get comfortable with it physically, control wise, and then looking at the light and getting a feel for what kind of images the camera will take in different kinds of lighting. You know, like I said, the more experience you get with your camera, the better. Uh, so I'll just show you, like, you know, I just posted, you know, my first post, just my dog running, right? But I was experimenting with continuous autofocus with her, and it did a good job here. And then here I was experimenting with the with this little bitty pop-up flash that comes with the camera, trying to do, you know, a low-key image. And this was done in normal light, so adjusting some settings and stuff and the power. So I'm working on a tutorial for that. I just haven't had time to finish it. And then, you know, this is my coronavirus picture. And then Derek posted one. So like I said, these are just pictures every day, nothing epic, right? And then this forum here, feedback wanted, this is where you post pictures where you want to get constructive criticism about your image, like, you know, how do I improve the lighting or composition or subject matter, you know, whatever it is. And Rick is also a member of the forum here, Rick Bear, and as many of you, you have tons of experience in photography, and I think can really contribute and help people getting started with their photography to improve their images. And then I created a separate category for high res shots because they are very different shots than really anything else, only on a technical level. But it's such an interesting feature in our cameras. I wanted to make a specific item for that, because I posted some here, and one of the things that makes high res shot different, and what I tried to show was, like, look at this image here. This is a ISO 6400 shot, and what you can do is you can right click on the image and open this in a new tab, and then you can really punch in and see all of the detail here at a very, very fine level. And if you save the picture to your computer, you can sort of dive into the EXIF data as well. So if you're going to post images, you know, if you want to strip out the EXIF data, that's okay. Or you can leave it in if you want to share that. But just be aware that the images are whole, meaning all the EXIF data is going to be in the image unless you strip it out before uploading. But that's what I wanted to do here, and that's why I have high res separate, because I think it's really a different image, or a very different way of taking images, and very different applications. So, and then of course at the top here, you know, you can suggest for my make suggestions for what type of videos you'd like to see. This is the tutorials index. And I'm going to try and include other creators like Robin and Peter and Joe and, you know, the usual suspects, right? Some videos that they have that I think I like, or I think you guys would like, I should say. And, you know, and if you're a YouTube creator, you know, Robin and Peter, etc., you're welcome to post into this section any videos that you feel are tutorial based, right? So ideally, I don't want photo walks and things in this category. I just want kind of very specific techniques that you want to share or teach that you have on your YouTube channel. Let's see. And of course, here's the news and rumors, introductions, and tell your story. And then here in digital cameras, this area here is more, I think, going to be kind of like a Q&A section, where, you know, if you have questions or need to solve a problem and you have an Olympus camera or whatever camera, you can kind of ask in here, like, what settings did you use to do a portrait, or how do you do this with the Olympus camera? Then you can be very specific about with your answer if you can provide an answer. And then, of course, the film cameras. I need to populate this. So the forum's very new. There's only 19 people signed up right now. I had like 150 in the one before I switched. So I hope you guys join and let me know or participate, because I think a lot of people, they don't like to go into Instagram to look at pictures, or Facebook, and this can kind of be a very specific community just for photographers, right? All right. There we go. Was there no sound on that? Hopefully there was sound on the forum when I was there just now. Because my microphone was... Yeah, you need to register again, Plato. I'm sorry. Thank you, Soren. Okay, so there was sound that second time. Okay. Oh, man, I'm... Because my little sound meter over here was jumping around, so I assumed there was. Oh my God, my nose is itching so much, and they tell you not to touch your face, right? But I can't help it. It must be that I'm using a different allergy medicine today. It must be that. The registration didn't work. Oh crap. On the new forum. Man. Okay, John, I'll look into that. Let me make a note. So I think I still have you on the old forum. So I'll look at the information there and see if I can find you on the new forum and just manually activate it. Man. Before I do that, I wanted to show you guys this. When I was doing my color profiles for Fujifilm, and to emulate on Olympus and the other various effects, I really dug in, and I wrote down all the color values at different points in a picture and then compared them to Olympus, and that's how I developed my color profiles, the more complex ones anyway. Someone else has done all that work though. I think it was Siegfried. He has a great article on that with lots of profiles and settings. MCCOR, John McCormick. Okay. Why does the second image appear inside an attachment box? Let me take a look. So when I look at it, oh, you're talking about this attachments box. I don't know, maybe because it's more than one? I don't think I posted anything with more than one shot myself. Oh, I did in this one. I think I posted 3 shots in this one thread. Let me see how that comes out. There's picture 1. There's picture 2. No, it didn't come up as an attachment. It's possible because when you add the pictures to the forum, um, that uh, you can select a place in line. So maybe that's what you did, is place in line versus just when you place in line, it should go in. But I think you have to place in line all of the attachments versus just uploading them. Because if you upload them, it'll just put the picture in the frame. The thread where I posted all 3 images, I did place in line. The login doesn't accept the password. Takes half a dozen times. Oh, wow. Okay, thanks, Mike. I'm glad that worked. But John's saying he's struggling with the password. Wow. So John can't register. John Softly is having trouble with the password. Attempts. Soren's asking what software do I use for streaming. I just use OBS Studio, just the free one that you can get. Nothing fancy. It's a little bit of a learning curve if you're not familiar with streaming software, but that's what I use. Yeah, that's a good idea, Rick. I think I'll make a video about the forum and how to use it. That's something I can do pretty quickly. You know, my normal my normal like tutorials that I do, man, they take all day, and I just haven't had a free day this week. But demonstrating the forum or using it shouldn't take too long, maybe only a couple hours. So Best Shots Caitlin, you did not receive the confirmation key. Okay. That's the trouble that Rick was having. Okay, so I've logged in. So let me write your name down. Because I can manually activate you if you try to register. Catalan, okay. Yeah, wow. A lot of inactive members here. IO Boy, Surge, Malcates. Okay. Man, a lot of you guys are registering though. I appreciate that. But anybody that's still inactive after the forum, I'll go ahead and manually activate you so you can start participating. That's what I'll have to do. And oh yeah, thanks PWX. Definitely check your spam folder for the email, because it always goes into spam. If you get it at all, it goes right into spam. And like I said, if you don't get it within a few minutes, Peter can't get in either. Wow. All right, so Best Shots Catalan, I just activated your account. Like I said, there's so many there now. When the stream is over, I'll go ahead and activate everybody that's not active yet. But Peter Cardo. So Peter Cardo. Okay. Challenges. When you say you can't get in, you can't. You've registered, but now you can't. You can't sign in. Oh my God. Why? Why? Thank you, David. David is in a birthday loop. Ooh, hopefully I can turn some of these things off. I mean, we really don't need to know everybody's birthday, right? Okay, Lars got no activation email either. Okay. But I'll see you on the user list as inactive, and then I can activate it. Yeah, the submitted form was invalid. Submit again. I got that once myself, and then I tried again, and it worked. I wonder if that's a cookie problem, you know, with the cookies. So I may have to deactivate the because there's two different kinds of cookies or pop-ups in the software. One is for confirming you're over the age of whatever, and then there's also the notification that the site uses cookies. But maybe if I turn the cookies off, it'll eliminate that problem. My question is whether you'll stay logged in at all if the cookies are off. So I'll have to experiment a little bit. I mean, the good thing about this software, at least, though, is I can export everything out and maybe find a paid version of Forum software that's a little more reliable. But I thought PHP was very robust and pretty stable. But with all the problems people are having just out of the box, I'm questioning that. Because PHP is, you know, quote unquote, the #1 free form software out there. And it's been around forever. But like I said, that's kind of a plus and a minus, right? The plus side, there's a huge user base out there to help you if you have problems. But the minus side is that it's usually accumulation of tons of different code. Some code might have been written, you know, 10 years ago, and then somebody adds onto the code something a little bit more current, and then suddenly there's some incompatibility between the two codes, and that's when you run into errors. But you don't find them necessarily until all of us that want to use it, like, we're virtual beta testers, right? Of the software. So we have to report these problems. Then you fix one thing and then two more problems pop up. Kind of sounds like our Olympus menus, doesn't it? Just a little. Okay, good, Chuck. Oh, so you're Lemonhog. Okay, great. A malware notice. God, I know. Seriously, you know, with all the spam and malware and adware and these spammers and crooks, the malware people, they need to give us 6 months off, you know, so that we can get some work done. Because I can't think of a day that I've gone through without having to deal with some kind of malware, adware, or other BS that's interfering with the workflow of doing real things, right? God, we just cannot get a break. I mean, whether it's just an update in Windows because of some security patch or on my phone, there are constantly updates because of people trying to hack into a system. And I appreciate the security, but the solution really is you hackers out there, you really need to use your power for good instead of evil. And at the very least, just take a vacation for like 6 months so we can get some work done. Because you're just destroying the economy. Okay, good, Mike. Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, if you guys are not getting the authentication email, I will go in and activate everybody manually. I have to think of a way to moderate that to some extent, right? Because I may not recognize you. So I might be activating one of these spammers inadvertently. But you can usually tell from the email address, right? Usually, if it's like a .ru, like a Russian email or some weird thing, it's usually spam or crap anyway. If I pay them $1 million, that would be funny. You know, if the governments paid these hackers $1 million each, they'd probably get it back in revenue and tax revenue from the booming economy. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Not the worst idea I ever heard. Yeah, I made a note of that 1,000 word adventures about the birthday loop. So I'll look into that. Yeah, I'll have to manually authenticate Rick. When I go there, go to the board index. How many do I have now? I have 20 now. Manage users. Let me see. But the good thing is I know if you guys register and are having trouble uh, getting the authentication email, everybody that tries to sign up now, I can go in and manually activate because odds are pretty high that you guys are legit and not spammers, right? So I will do that. Let me activate my cam because it says inactive right now. Like I said, I'll go back and do that. John is saying hackers are the only part of the economy still working. That's funny. Oh, those guys need to give us a break just for a little while so we can get some work done. I'm so tired of dealing with it. Oh, Chuck is saying month, calendar, year. So I'm gonna try, and I appreciate you guys' feedback on this because I'm gonna try and work through all of these issues and duplicate them on my end so that when I create the video for the forum, I can address them there. The problem with hackers, you know, is I don't like it when they go after like seniors and call them and scare them to death to give them their money. You know, they'll pose as like a government agent or some sort of law enforcement and threaten them, and then they give up all their money. Um, that's just not right, you know? I mean, it's not right when you do it to anybody, but if you know, attacking our senior citizens, uh, it's just a really scummy thing to do, you know? Oh, John's asking if my real estate, not really. Uh, it's affecting me mentally. in the sense that um, I'm a little bit nervous when I go to a property that isn't vacant. Like I have one next week at a dental office of all places, right? That is just an incubator for germs, in my opinion. uh, so it's affecting me a little bit from my emotionally or mentally, but in terms of business itself, it's not affecting me too much. Not that I get a lot of business anyway, but it's there's still plenty of business in this area. It's very robust business economy here in the Northern Virginia, DC area. But I have talked to agents and they said that they're not giving any house showings, right? Um, and that that's putting a drag on sales. So I imagine because this happened so quickly here. I mean, not even 2 weeks ago, it was like almost non-existent, right? To now where it's thousands and thousands of cases. Uh, so it happened so quickly that I think we haven't seen the effect quite yet here. So I think I bet like April will definitely be slower than March was. Mike's saying, I notice you always reset settings to factory before you set up stuff. You are God, thanks. I'm not, but I have the M13. How long did it take to get comfortable with the menus? Not long at all. I mean, they're very similar to the M1 Mark II and the M5 Mark III. So there's a few other things in there that are kind of unique to the camera, but uh, the menu system from Olympus is sort of ingrained now. So I have a very good very good feeling for it now. So it didn't take me long at all. I'm still not used to the joystick though. I I'm not a big fan of joysticks apparently. I never get it pushed in the right direction. Just my thumb doesn't have the finesse to maneuver that thing, I guess. Okay, good, Mike. Okay, 1,000 words, I'll try. Chuck says the stray turns out to be a registered community feral cat. It's chipped and has a clipped ear. Oh, okay. Community feral cat. I got no cat. I used to have cats living under my porch all the time. And the but since getting Ellie, my new girl dog, man, I got no cats because she almost killed one. It was a poor little kitten. Thankfully, I heard it happening, and I was able to save the kitten. Uh, but yeah, in the last 2 3 years, no more cats around my house. Yeah, Plato. I think the quarantine. Where are you, Plato? When you say, I mean, I'm trying to keep up with it. I watch the local news to see if anything in my area is being affected, and it's affected, but to a limited degree. Um, Outside of most businesses are self quarantining and closing and only doing deliveries. Uh, then notices about you can't be out with more than 10 people. So I keep up with the local news, but nothing. I don't know internationally what's going on. Oh, in Belgium. Okay. So, yeah, we're not in full lockdown quarantine here yet. I think some states are. Some states here in the US are. But where I am right now, we're not required to stay in, but man, I went to a job on Thursday and there was no traffic. And that's really unusual for this area. I mean, there was a tiny bit of backup at one spot, but uh, for the most part, it was clear. And the backup that I ran into is a spot that's normally backed up for about 2 miles, and it takes me about 30 minutes to get through that part. But it was only backed up maybe a quarter mile this time, and I was able to get through in about 10 minutes. But because traffic here just sucks to no end. That's why going on photo walks and things, sometimes I have to go after traffic's over. That's why I'm always photo walking at night, or I have to go very early in the day. John says that he's a senior citizen. If a camera store asks for money, he'll give it. What other uses for the joystick? I don't know, because I haven't gotten a feel for it, but I think, you can use it to navigate the menu instead of using the D-pad, but I like the D-pad. It's a little more positive click to it. Maybe Robin knows more on that, but I think, other than moving the focus point around and navigating the menus, I don't think there's much else. And that's what I mean. It's just I don't have the finesse for that joystick yet. Maybe I'll get used to it over time. Yeah, that's I think that's good advice, whether there's a mandatory quarantine or not. Plato, just go to food banking and pharmacies. John's saying the Florida beaches were packed with college students until the governor closed all the beaches and bars. Yeah, I know. Kids think they're invulnerable. I agree. When I was young, I thought I was. What's this about the army chasing you, Robin? I missed that story. Oh, that reminds me, because I was looking at some question. Someone asked in my live stream, and I totally missed it. Is should they get the seven? And Robin, you just did a video on the 75 to 300. But they were asking, how do you get such sharp images out of that camera or out of that lens? Oh my God! And I was looking right at your settings, which gratefully you included. You're shooting at ISO 1250 and still getting a nice clean image out of that lens. I found that once I start getting up over ISO 400, 800, I cannot get a sharp image out of that lens. Not for anything at any distance. But the question I got was, should you use should you get the 40 to 150 Pro lens with a 2x teleconverter, or get the 75 to 300? And my answer would be Pro lens with a teleconverter. Now, if he was referring to the 40 to 150 kit lens, you cannot use the 2x teleconverter with that lens. So it's not even an option. But the Pro lens with a teleconverter is certainly better than that 75 to 300 any day. Yeah, going to a zoo. Yeah, being close by. Because I'm shooting at 100 meters trying to capture something, then cropping in at ISO like 2000. And I'm like, yeah, it's not sharp at all. Yeah, if budget permits. I definitely want to get the 40 to 150 Pro lens. It's on my short list of things to get. But I'm just, I need to temper my spending a little bit. I've kind of went overboard these last 3 months with buying I've bought 4 cameras since like November. Plus, all the other little things that go with it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't need more than 1 or 2 cameras, let alone 4 because I had 3 or 4 cameras before I bought those 3. um, but I bought that Fuji X-T30 The M1 Mark III, the EM5 Mark III. Those are the three. Oh, 4 cameras. Sorry, the EM5 Mark II also. And the sad part is I still go online and look at deals. Oh, Lars says he's compared the 4150 Pro lens with a 2x converter versus the 75 to 300. You were disappointed with the results from the Pro. Wow. Wow, that surprises me. I guess the better question would be, was it better than the 75 to 300? Because when you say you're disappointed in the performance, it's relative to what? You know, like, was it like not much better than 75 to 300 anyway? Or was it better, but not to the level that you expected? That's the question I have. John, you have a 2x teleconverter. Oh, the 2x, the digital teleconverter, with the 40 to 150. Yeah, that works too. Definitely, I do that a lot. Yeah, I definitely do that a lot. I don't think there's any difference between the 1.4x and the 2x in terms of image quality. It's just you lose, you know, a little bit more light with the 2x teleconverter in terms of, you know, true aperture. The 75 was sharper than the Pro. Wow. That's shocking. That is shocking. So I guess I should clarify my statement that I don't own the 40 to 150 Pro. I can't tell you firsthand, but my assumption would be it's better. And Jane is saying the same thing. She agrees with Lars. And then Peter's loving his, says the 1.4x with the 40 to 150 Pro is so sharp. So everybody's giving me different feedback here. See, you're making me want to go out and buy that lens and just try it for myself. Oh, that would be awesome, Lars. If you can share those photos, that would be awesome. Maybe post them in the Olympus thread, right? Not in the photo thread, because you're not sharing images particularly for the image, but you're sharing them for the technical part of the images. So that would be the appropriate place. Just borrow from Olympus. Yeah, that's true, maybe. But you know, Robin, when they contacted me, some third party contacted me saying they are from Olympus, and that they asked me what items do I want to, you know, test out, but they never. So I told them, and then they never got back to me after that. So I think what needs to happen is, you know, I need to go up to Pennsylvania one day and just meet everybody in person in their office, and maybe I can walk out with one in hand, right? Instead of going through all this red tape. Because it's frustrating, because I get emails back and forth time to time, and I'm not putting any priority on it, so I kind of let it go sometimes, but I'm not getting any results in terms of getting gear in my hand from them. Stuart's asking, what forum do I speak of? Oh, the forum on my website. Let me put a link to it. Crap. Sorry about that. What I was saying was, uh, check your spam folder for the authentication on the forum when you register, and if you don't get it within 5 or 10 minutes, um, try to I can activate it manually, but check your spam folder. If it's not there, then I'll have to activate it manually. And I'm going to activate everybody manually if you don't get that authentication after the stream. Rick is saying, I own both these lenses and cannot agree with that the 75 consumer lens is in the same league with the Pro. Maybe post something on the forum. Okay, I'm just catching up. KH has a 75 to 300 excellent collision for 303 bucks. Yeah, 303 bucks is fair. You can always sell it for what you paid for it, at the very least. And if you trade it in, you won't lose too much even. They'll probably give you 200 bucks on trade-in. But I wouldn't hesitate at 303 bucks. I paid 500 for mine. And Robin, there's a question for you that I can't answer either. Can you use the MC 1.4 M43's teleconverter with an adapted 4/3 50 to 200? Okay, Marzon, I will check that out for you on the forum. Oh, thanks you, Mike. And Robin says that you cannot do that, Mark. Adapting, stacking all those adapters together. That's not going to work. I think, yeah, the MC teleconverters, when I looked at them physically, they have a lens that protrudes out from the center. And I think that's kind of the challenge with it, adapting it to other lenses. They're designed with a certain clearance and distance, focal distance in of itself, matched with other lenses. Yeah, Kostov is getting great results with the 40 to 150 kit lens. That is an awesome lens. But since getting the 14 to 150, I don't take that one out as much. I like the range of the 14 to 150. Then I don't have to swap between the kit lens and the 40 to 150 kit lens. I just have one kit lens, 14 to 150 now. Yeah, Dave, we're still waiting. I haven't seen any pricing on the 150 to 400, but yeah, it's gonna be like $4,000 probably. I hope not, but that's probably what it's gonna be. I mean, if you look at the lens, right, it looks expensive. I mean, it's all white, metal, big honking thing with a teleconverter built in. So it's gonna be expensive. Rick says the 75-300 versus the 40-150. It should be remembered that most zoom lenses aren't their best at max zoom, so I'd be happy to compare both lenses at 150. Okay. Yeah, if you have both lenses, yeah, post them in the Olympus thread. Yeah, the adapter has some space, but like I said, I think the optics of the teleconverter are designed to with the lens to be at a certain distance from itself. But like I said, I don't know. I don't have any of those. I don't have a 4/3 camera or any 4/3 lenses. I don't have that adapter. And I don't have a teleconverter, so there's a lot of missing pieces from in my toolbox here that I can't give you any legit feedback on. Yeah, cost of that. I mean, that's what I used to do before getting the 14 to 150. But now I just carry the 14 to 150 and a 17. That's my typical go-to setup now. Yeah, people say the 4/3 lenses are really good, and they're so cheap. They're so cheap. It's so tempting to just get one of those in an adapter. Like I said, I have to temper my spending here. Oh, I'm running my limits on all my credit cards, and it's not a good thing to have all these payments coming up every month. Peter says, on a sunny, almost empty beach in Maine, my dog and EM12 and the 75 to 300 lighter feeling than the 14 to 40 and $300 sharp. Yes. I'm not sure what a $300 Sharpie is, though. Oh, yeah. Kostov. I can't wait for the 8 to 25. That, if it's not too big and heavy, like if it's the same size as the 12 to 45, I'm definitely getting that lens. That is a lens I would definitely pick up. I mean, I'm half tempted to get the 9 to 18, but if the 8 to 25 comes out, that's giving me that normal focal length at the 25mm range. And a slightly wider at 8mm, and it's f4 constant. So that's going to be an awesome lens. And if it's weather sealed and everything else, bonus, right? But they can't come out with that lens fast enough. Trade in, trade up. Oh, okay. That's not a term I've ever seen before for that. Sharpie, trade in, trade up. Greetings from Spain, Rob. Hi. Question about high-res mode. I hear good lenses are needed for high-res, but isn't the camera essentially taking 20-megapixel images through the lens and combining them? Yes. That's all it's doing. Obviously, the better the lens, the better the image, but if you go to my forum, I want to show you something. If you just got here. But right here, high-res shots, right, in my forum. So just go to robtret.com and you'll find the forum. But all of these shots, I use the Panasonic 12 to 32 kit lens, and I'm at like ISO 6400, okay? And like this image here, let me show you this one. And you can right-click on them and bring up the full-size image. But look at this. You can almost read the menu in this diner, and I was across the street. But look at that, it says chicken and cheese, $7.49. Chicken Parmesan, $7.99. So I can actually read the menu on this. Some of it I can't read. But if I back out, this is the full image, and I was across the street. And this is slightly cropped from the original high-res image. This image here, let me see, what's the dimensions? Even this image is slightly cropped. And here are the specs, right? Panasonic 12 to 32 kit lens at ISO, this was at ISO 2500, f5.6, so I was wide open. uh, most likely for this lens, at 1/60th of a second, and I applied a filter which sometimes degrades the image quality of the RAW file. This is a straight out of camera JPEG. And like I said, if you punch in, it's freaking amazing the detail you get. I can read everything inside. Whoops. Now the lady is a little bit blurry because she was moving, right? I can almost read this sign here, but it's probably facing inside the window and not outside. But if you look at the outside window, great food, customer service, and friendly workers. It'd be kind of cool if I could read the fine print on this ATM machine, right? But anyhow, yeah, it's pretty freaking amazing. Even with a kit lens. Hopefully my sound didn't go out. Okay, Kostov, yeah, I think the 12-100 is just too big and heavy. You know, Olympus should have came out with the 8-25 before the 12-45, right? Because they have a 12-40 Pro already. Why make another one? Roy, how are you, Roy? How's things where you are? As a photographer over here in the UK, I'm finding it hard to work with restrictions to self-isolation and distinguished numbers of clients are canceling. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine event photographers are dying right now. I mean, most photographers, if you do it professionally, part-time or full-time, yeah, it's a problem. Uh, you know, for me, it's just a part-time thing, kind of. Uh, so is this YouTube channel. I don't have a full-time job. I do everything part-time. So when work levels drop, I don't see it quite as much as hard as somebody that has several jobs, you know, a day, right? Working every day. Um, you know, I get a couple of jobs a week and I'm happy. Errol's asking, what do you use for cable release, or do you use time mode? I normally just use the self timer, but if I do need to use a cable release, I have a wireless one that I use. It's this one here. This is a Pixco, and you can find these on Amazon. You plug this into your camera, and on the EM1 cameras, you have right here, you have your little sync plug, right? This is a 2.5 millimeter, and then on the oh, this one has a no. This one, I think this one uses USB, but on other cameras, you have to hook through the USB port. So when you buy these triggers or wireless triggers, you need to have the right connector on the end. So the connector I bought with this particular wireless one, I bought the USB connector, but I unplugged the USB connector and I just plugged in regular audio cables with this 2.5 millimeter adapter, and I can use this with my EM1 Mark II and Mark III as well. So I was able to get one trigger for both cameras, both types of cameras. And I would imagine any camera that uses the 2.5 millimeter jack, this trigger will work with. So buy the USB version, but then also buy the, and these are just regular audio cables with a 3.5 millimeter jack on one side to 2.5 millimeter on the other side. And that's what I use. You're welcome, uh, Wa Photo. No problem. Um, I said frickin'. Yeah. I don't remember what I said frickin' about, but that's one of my go-to words instead of the other F word. Why not use the phone app for the wireless release? Because the phone app, I can't get that thing to work reliably. And the phone app, with the phone app, you don't have as much control over the camera settings. For example, if I use the phone app for continuous shooting, like continuous low, for example, the continuous shutter, I can't tell if face detect is on. I can't tell if it's doing continuous autofocus or if it's you don't have anywhere near as much control over the camera settings, so that's why I don't use it. It's fine for like once in a while doing a selfie, but for any kind of like more complex photography scenarios, the phone app is useless. I'll give you an example. Here, don't judge, okay? But I'm going to show you these raw pictures I took. So here I'm using the phone app, right? You can see because I'm holding the phone and I'm like not happy. Oh my God. I can't believe how unhappy I look here. So I was walking back and forth trying to see if the phone app would focus on my face. And there it did, right? There it looks like it did. And this is single shot mode. So then I tried to go into continuous shot mode. And it missed focus, right? There it got focus. Let me see. Why is this? I picked raw. Why am I seeing duplicates? I haven't really gone out and analyzed these pictures. So here I'm walking towards the camera using the phone. So there it got me. There it got me. Let's see as I get closer. Well, damn, it's working pretty good here. I just did these shots the other day. I haven't really looked at them that close, but I was... See, there it missed me just slightly, but good enough. But then after I played around with the phone app for a while, here, try not to laugh at my face. Here I was using the remote shutter. You can see it in my hand here, right? But it was missing focus a lot with this. You can see it's very blurry here. I mean, the whole image is blurry, so I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm definitely out of focus here. Oh, but then I said, okay, maybe using continuous shutter with continuous autofocus and everything with this, it's not, I'm not getting good tracking or focusing. So I went to, let me scroll down. Man, I did a lot of testing. 2,000 shots. So then I practiced with my dog, right? Just hand holding using continuous shutter. And in this case, it did much better from shot to shot. I mean, she's pretty much in focus the whole time. So when I was using, and this is, you know, this is another kind of long-term thing, but this is where I found even when using this, that the autofocus or continuous autofocus performance is not as good as when you're actually holding the camera and doing things. But I still have a long way to go with the, I have a shot here of her running. By this time she was getting tired, and because I made her go back and forth a lot, so she was getting a little tired and just started walking uh, instead of running towards me. But the M1 Mark III, the continuous autofocus is really good handheld. And then I tried side to side, right? No problem there, and it shouldn't because she's running along the focal plane anyway. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let me get back here with you guys. Okay, good info on the triggers. Yes, thank you. Rob, you're right about the phone app. So yeah, I'm not the only one. It's a pain in the butt. Oh, Stuart said he just did a remote virtual wedding. He set up the place with cameras and remotes, then wiped all down when you left. Oh, okay. The bride and groom showed up 3 days later, and we connected via the web with the priest. Wow, that's pretty cool. They're going to get their photos emailed to them after a 3-day wait. Man. I don't know if I could trust leaving my gear somewhere, though. Not where I live, man. That stuff would be gone as soon as I turned my back. I wouldn't even have to be out of the area. Okay, good night, John. Thanks for coming in. Lauren, how are you? Did you just get in? It's always good to see you. Rob, you look so serious. I know. God, you know, it's like when I and that's what happens when I'm making tutorials too, right? I don't smile a lot. I'm very mundane and kind of just turn the mode dial here, click this, push that. Okay. I say okay too much, right? In my tutorials. I gotta watch that. It's kind of a verbal tick I have. Verbal ticks, like I say okay a lot, and I say and I go a lot. So I gotta fix a lot of these verbal ticks as I go on. But the Panasonic, Lauren says the Panasonic 12 to 32 and Olympus 14 to 42R kit lens beats the new Olympus EZ in tests done. Yes, I've seen those same tests comparing the lenses. In my own personal test, the 12 to 32 is sharper than the 14 to 42 R2 lens. And this kind of goes back to another question someone asked me, you know, using kit lenses with high-res shot mode. That's what I did, is I did high-res shots using the 12 to 32 versus the 14 to 42, and I found the 12 to 32 was always sharper in that scenario. I think if you're doing regular shots, it'd be harder to tell the difference. And I don't have the Olympus EZ anymore. The one I have broke, so I wasn't able to compare that. But all reports say that it's just a little bit less sharp than the other two lenses. Errol says, I had one other thought about the LCD screen moving to the side of the camera. We buy M43 for its size and make it twice the size by flipping out the screen. I think you need to say we buy it for size and weight, right? Because they are lighter. So flipping the screen out to the side doesn't make it any heavier, right? But yeah, I think for general photography, I prefer the flip screen versus the, I'm sorry, the tilt screen versus the flip screen that flips out to the side. That's why I don't know why people gave Panasonic and Nikon so much flack for having a tilt screen instead of a flip out. You know, because most people are photographers, they're not videographers. Rick says, how about shooting tethered using Capture One to control your camera? You know, my buddy, I asked him to try that, and he said that Capture One was not compatible for tethering with the Olympus camera. Uh, so if you're doing it, I'd love to know how. Maybe there's a workaround. I mean, you could, I mean, I know you can uh, use the Olympus tethering software that'll save it to a certain folder, and Capture One will monitor that folder for new images and bring them up for you. So that's kind of a workaround, right? Uh, but I'll have to give that some thought. Maybe trying it that way rather than using these remote shutters. But these remote shutters, I mean, if I set everything in the camera, the remote shutter should only trigger the shutter, not affect what settings I had. And the results I was getting was a little bit mixed. So, and that's what I mean about these tutorials that I make, is I do a lot of testing before I actually make a tutorial, so I know what the heck I'm talking about and can tell you firsthand experience, this is what I found. And that's what I mean about taking pictures every day. Sometimes I'm thinking, you know, I want to try this today, and I'll try it, and I'll take 1,000 pictures. Because if you look at, like, where's my catalog? Just the JPEG images. Well, let's look at RAW. You know, I took 2,000, 1,926 raw images that day. Then the next day, yesterday, I didn't have a lot of time, but I took another 286 images, comparing the EM1 Mark II and the EM5 Mark II. And I was just practicing lighting, you know. Here I was doing a natural light shot with just a lamp next to me. And then I was practicing with some flash and then playing with different types of flash, different exposures, trying to get a feel for, you know, how it looks when I adjust it different ways, right? And this was just yesterday. What the heck did I do yesterday? Oh, I was taking pictures of flowers, right? So, and this is a beautiful tree in my front yard. So I was trying different effects and different angles. This is one of my swirly bokeh lenses. I was playing with that. A little bit of a gap here between the 14th and the 15th. What was I doing here? Oh, that was my product photography tutorial, or, you know, live composite tutorial. It wasn't really a product shot. And then here, yeah, I was playing with light again. But I always try to, I always try and do something every day for specific techniques and seeing what happens, right? And then I can say, okay, I think this is something I can show somebody else how to do. Whether it's a popular thing or not, you know, sometimes, you know, when you learn one thing, it sparks ideas for other things. Yeah. If I shoot raw, I'm going to be arrested by the authorities. That's funny. Get the manual in PDF and open it in Adobe Reader. Oh, you know, the problem with doing that is my eyes are so bad. Like when I look at this phone, the little text underneath each icon is all blurry to me. And then if I hold it out far away, I can read it, but now they're too small. So that's why I only use this phone for like the maps so I don't get lost, because God knows I get lost all the time. Get the manual. And, okay, I don't like the way I speak too. Thanks, Robin. That's why people can chill with me for hours. Oh my God, what time is it? 12:15. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call it soon. I need to be available because the client I told you about that's doing the long distance learning thing that I helped them with is going live today. I told him I'd be available after my live stream. Red 35, Jimmy, how are you, buddy? So good to see you. He doesn't come to my live streams too often, but I'm glad you made it in today. That's awesome. So we have Jimmy Chang from Red 35. He has a really an amazing YouTube channel here, Red 35 Photography. So definitely check out his channel if you haven't already. He definitely has a very high production quality on his videos. He does a really good job and has a lot of great information and presents things in a way that I think is a lot more fun than I do whenever I talk about something. And he doesn't bore you with technical details too much. He kind of glosses over them because that's not what's important, right? We're all about photography and how can we use this particular gear to better our photography. So yeah, I've been watching Red for a long time, just like Robin Wong. Robin Wong, I think, you know, he used to work for Olympus as a technical analyst, consultant, something official capacity, and really has a lot of experience, a very in-depth knowledge of the Olympus ONDs and, you know, all the Olympus digital cameras, as well as being a avid photographer, right? And professional, and they're both Olympus visionaries, unlike me, right? I'm just a guy with a camera, but both Jimmy and Robin are um, Olympus visionaries, so they have some, you know, they have some street cred with Olympus, which is not a small thing, you know. And the beautiful thing about that, though, besides having those credentials, I think, is when you watch their videos, you know they're being very sincere and genuine when they talk about the gear and how much they love the gear and how they use the gear. And they're never biased, you know, or don't appear to be, right? You get the sense that they are very genuine in their recommendations for you as an Olympus photographer or photographer in general. So anyhow, just a little plug for them. They're really great, and they've always been very good to me. You know, uh, coming into my live streams and participating, which I'm very flattered by that. Mark, I'm dry. He's wet. Yeah, because you know it's always raining over there in the UK, right? This is going to be the rainiest month usually of the year for us. We call it, or April is usually the rainiest part. We always say April showers and May flowers over here. Effusive, God, another new word. You're always, I don't know if it was you last time, but somebody's always introducing me to a new word for my vocabulary. Effusive, I'll have to look that up. Rich is effusive. Rob, gotta move my mouse in the best way. I think, like I said, you know, the one comment somebody said about my channel that I'll never forget was, and it was kind of a compliment, right? It was because somebody was asking about something on one of the DP review forums, and the guy recommended my channel, and he says, you know, Rob has a lot of good content. And then he said, he's an extraordinarily average speaker, but his content is good. I was like, I'm extraordinarily average. I was like, oh my God, that just cracks me up every time. So it's kind of like a nice way of saying I'm very boring. But if you can get through it, you know, you might learn something. Let's see. Sorry, Robin. I had to like unhide some comment you made. It just got hidden for some reason. Oh, because you used the word naked. Naked. Spam bots. My constant fear is that one day my English teacher will see my videos and comment on all of his things. Yeah. Don't listen to those forums. I know. Well, it's good entertainment for me. I don't you know, I try not to take them too seriously because they don't know me, right? They're just some people just lash out, and I get it. You know, sometimes you have a bad day and you're in the forums and you just start making comments, right? That on another day you wouldn't necessarily make. Uh so it's okay. Um but like I said, the Micro Four Thirds community is really nice, and I've never had really any issues. It's just when you get those Sony people in saying, you know, you got to buy full frame and Micro Four Thirds sucks and blah blah blah. then you know it just shows how ignorant I think a lot of people are about photography in general. It has nothing to do with sensor size or technology or features. It's really about, you know, photography. Or it should be about photography and capturing a great image, capturing those moments in your life, uh, and that's one of the things I think about when I go out. A lot of times, you know, I have this channel to try to cover some of the technical side to help you take better pictures. Uh, but ultimately, the end game is to take those images that, you know, you'll have for your life, in your life, and I think that's important. Sunny and warm today in Manchester. Awesome. You should be outside, not watching my stream. Caitlin says, Catalin says, I keep saying Caitlin like a girl's name. It's Catalin. Uh, the community is nice because we suffer together. That's hilarious. Oh, God. But yeah, it's so easy to get lost in all the tech and gear, especially online with the forums and but that's fine. You know, there's a lot of people that are all about the gear, right? And that in of itself is the reward. Just having the latest greatest, you know, gear or eking out that extra bit of performance, whether it's in low light or shutter speed or focus. Uh, and I get that, you know. It's sometimes it is about the technology for some people and just having the very best or doing the very best or, you know, whatever. And that's a whole legitimate other hobby, right? Is about the technology side. So, and I can appreciate that, right? Because I'm kind of a geek, nerdy guy in real life anyway. So I'm really into the specs and I look into everything. But in practice, when I go on my channel, I try to come back to what I think is really important about photography, and that's capturing those moments in your life. And if you're a professional doing professional work, I don't talk about that too much because that's a whole different kind of photography. That's when the gear becomes just a tool. and you want the tools that best fit your job. Uh, so it's hard for me to address that side of the photography because I have very limited experience in different types of professions. I have a couple on real estate which are okay. Uh, and you can ask me about those kinds of questions because I do have a good feel for that. But yeah, photography, when you talk about gear in professional sense, it just becomes about tools. That's why, like in those pro photographers shooting games late at night inside a stadium, they're going to use a full frame 1DX or 1DX Mark, whatever those things are, D5, D6, with the 600 millimeter lenses, and they're spending $20,000, $30,000 on gear, but they're just tools, right? For them, they don't care what brand or camera it is. They have muscle memory for a certain brand, and they need maximum capability. That's true, Red. When in the '80s, when the fans from pop stars would fight, I know. Another play, and it doesn't matter what the subject is. There's always like bashing, right? Like especially like in cars and trucks. Like Chevy is the best. No, Ford is the best. Ford trucks, Chevy trucks. Or you can go into any field and you always find fanboys and loyalists for specific things. And it's just in our nature, I guess, to be competitive that way. And I think friendly banter is fine. Like if if I ever get somebody here from that uses a different camera system as a guest, well, let's not even go that far. My buddy is a Nikon shooter, and there's always friendly bashing or bantering between us, right? He's always calling my cameras toy cameras, you know, and and I'm like, well, that piece of crap, what do I don't really bash his cameras too hard because I shoot Nikon, but I can't even think of what but I used to bash him too, or we'd have friendly banter that way. Um, just that they all think their brands are better than anything else, but always respond by asking them to show me their. I know, right? That's right. Let's see your pictures. But like I said, some people are into it for the gear and the tech itself, and they don't care what kind of pictures it takes. They just say it's better, even though they don't take better pictures. So, well, my camera takes better pictures. Well, let's see one. Well, I took this one, but it's better than yours. Whatever. And maybe it is. I don't know. Cosmo says the fun fact that modern English is not even pure English. We speak French, German, and nouns from all over the world. Very soon, social media language is going to be the universal communication. Maybe. I don't know, Kostov. I feel like social media now is just kind of a phase. Uh, I know it's been 20 years or 15 years of phase so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if in like 50 years, social media will be just sort of a chapter in history. It's not going to be a thing anymore because we'll move on to something else. Yes, Plato. A lot of accomplished photographers do move to Micro Four Thirds, no question, because they know they understand photography, that it's not about the gear. They understand photography. Mark's asking what lenses do you use for real estate so as not to give the wrong perspective of the spaces. Um, that's hard to do because I have to use wide angle lenses. And when you see the images I take versus the space itself with the naked eye, they look very different. And it's difficult to do when you have to shoot wide angle, but I use an 8mm fisheye, and then I do correction and post processing. And then I crop in a little bit, just to make things right. But that's what I do, and the perspective is never right. The only way to the only really the only way to avoid any kind of perspective issues is when the space is very big. uh, then the perspective is not distorted too much, right? If you have a huge space, I'm talking like there's spaces that I take where it's like 2,000 square feet on one floor, and I take a picture of that floor using a wide angle lens, just like in a landscape. When you use a wide angle lens, nothing looks out of place, or the perspective doesn't look bad in landscapes with wide angle lenses because everything's so far away. It's only when you use a wide angle lens in small spaces where you're trying to, when you got things coming in around to the side of the camera. So there's nothing you can really do about perspective problems with wide angle lenses in small spaces. It's just not really possible. The best you can do is show the same space from different angles to give that kind of an overview of the space. And most people have a good idea, like if it's the bathroom, right? And things look a little wonky sometimes when I use a wide angle lens on the bathroom. But because the human brain already knows what things are generally in a bathroom, your brain sort of automatically corrects that for you in your head, and it doesn't look too weird, right? But if it's some other kind of object that you're not seeing on a common, common, it's not a common thing to take a picture of. Um, it may look a little wonky, like when I take a picture of a room and there's cabinets on the side and there's chairs and desks and things, then those things look really weird because chairs, desks, cabinets all come in different shapes and sizes. And it looks a little wonky when you compare it naked eye versus the image. But if you're a perspective person that's never seen the space in real life and you're looking online at the images I took, they look fine because you don't have any perspective or relationship between the two. But they have to look good so that you go there and look at the property or call the agent. And then when you go see the space in real life, that's what agents are for, to take you in there. But anyhow, that's a long answer to just a really a anyway. Hopefully that answers your question, Mark. Rick likes speaking English from other parts of the world. Yes. Yes, I agree. I love diversity. That's a good point, John. That he doesn't think writers argue about which pen or pencil produces the best story. All right, Stuart. I can't even remember what we were talking about, but I'm with you. Either way. Catalan says, we moved to Micro Four Thirds because we don't care about the customers anymore and we love the feeling of the camera. Boy, you're just bashing us today. Little self deprecation or something there. Oh, you're welcome, Mark. Okay, so with that said, let me hit Robin and Jimmy up with what their next projects are, because looks like Jimmy at Red 35 is going to be maybe something on Wednesday. What are you doing, Robin? What's up next for you? See, Bob says, Johannes is asking any recommendations for camera strap. Yeah, I'll talk about my camera strap. I just make my own out of paracord, right? This is a basic fisherman's knot that I can adjust. And then I bought these, somebody told me what they're called and I forgot. But I bought these little loops that you buy for keys, right? These come on a key ring, and I can just quickly snap this on and off. So it's just paracord. So I bought like 100 feet for about $6 or $7, and then I bought these. I got 10 of these hook loops for $10, and that's it. Because the cameras are so light, you don't need a big strap. And what I like is I just snap this on and off. Oops. You know, I can snap these on and off. But what I like is when I pack this in the bag, I can wrap this strap around, and it takes up no room in the bag, you know. So that's the way I go now. Oh, I know you're just kidding, Catalan. Yeah, Robin, please do something on the P mode with the P&S. Because that's something I had never even seen before, honestly, or noticed. And Robin says Robin's going to do something on P&S, and Jimmy's got something coming out Wednesday. So yeah, go over there and watch their videos. I'm gonna try and do something this week. I really want to try and get out 2 more videos this week. And you guys saw all the practicing I did, right? If you were here earlier in the stream with the continuous autofocus and the flash, I think I'm gonna do a flash video this week. And then next week I have a some product photography videos coming out. So watch for that. Check my community tab in YouTube for some secret things coming next week on product photography. I'm going to give that another go. And then also I'm going to be doing a live stream collaboration with Robin and Peter on some other projects on April 5th. And then I think it's April 19th, I'm going to have Jimmy and Joe Ellis on as guests for a live stream coming up in April. So I have 2 big live streams coming up in April that you guys should all check out. And let's see. Lauren prefers small wrist straps. Yes, I did, Robin. I did get Joe Ellis. I did get in touch with him. So Joe Ellis and Jimmy are going to be together on April 19th. Assuming nothing's changed, because a lot's happened, right, since I've talked to them about the being guests on the live stream in April. And so we'll see, you know. But I'm glad you and Peter are going to be available in about 2 weeks for that live stream. And then, like I said, April 19th is going to be Jimmy and Joe. Yeah, a lot of people are asking for Joe, so I reached out to him, and he was willing to come on. And apparently Joe is also an Olympus visionary, which I didn't realize. I was I don't know, so much I don't know, right? But okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. I really appreciate everybody coming in today, and I appreciate all your support, and thank you, Jimmy and Robin, for dropping in. You're always welcome to come in. And like I said, if you want, just call me on my Skype. I leave my Skype open during the live stream, so I can bring you in live, even if just for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see you guys in person. Robin couldn't today, but but that's okay. And then I have some other guests coming in too, besides the 4 that I mentioned, that I'm working on. So hopefully that'll pan out, but I'm not sure yet. So till then, keep taking pictures and practice every day, okay? We'll see you guys again soon.